The Ozzy Osbourne film confusion, sad news from the Saxon camp, and Ukrainian metal strikes back. Metal is life and well, so let's see what keeps it going today. Here you go. A tragic loss of Brent Hinds. Former Mastodon guitarist Brent Hinds has been killed in a motorcycle accident on the night of the 20th of August in southeastern Atlanta. Brent was just 51 years old. According to the police report, Brent was riding his Harley-Davidson westbound when a BMW SUV failed to yield while turning left and crashed into him. Hinds was pronounced dead at the scene. The other driver did not leave the place but remained at the location. Yet the investigation is still ongoing. Mastodon, who parted ways with Hinds earlier this year after 25 years together, despite all the scandals between the two camps, of which we spoke quite extensively in our previous Metal Digest, issued a rather emotional message on their social media accounts. In their statement, they said, "We're heartbroken, shocked, and still trying to process the loss of this creative force with whom we've shared so many triumphs. Rest in peace, Brent." And here's the thing, I actually found out about this accident from a friend of Brent's who shared the information with me several hours before the official report started kicking in, but I really didn't want to cash in on something like this and decided to wait for the official reports to pour in and for the Hinds family to issue a statement first. And although I never really counted myself as a huge Mastodon fan, still, Brent Hinds for me has always been one of the best and possibly one of the most influential guitarists of metal's modern era. And I never really thought that a news of something like this would hit me this hard. As here's the thing, this year we've lost so many incredible legends already. But most of them we lost because of their age. But losing someone at the age of just 51 years old, someone who was still so creative and still had so much to say in the world of metal, is simply unfair. Especially since Brent had only recently played his first post-Mastodon show with his band Find Without a Face and was continuing to make music outside of the group he helped shape for over 2 decades. And yes, his unique style, raw voice, and unmistakable personality were a cornerstone of Mastodon's sound, from Remission to Hushed and Grim. So yes, whether you were a Mastodon fan, whether you were a Brent Hinds fan or not, it doesn't really matter. This loss is a huge loss for the entire heavy metal community. And on behalf of all the metal pilgrims around the world, we just want to issue our condolences to Brent Hinds' family and especially to his wife, Raisa Moreno. Guys, this Metal Digest will be slightly shorter than our usual ones, simply because for the first time in several months I'm taking a 2 days vacation together with my family, so please pardon me for that. But here, nevertheless, I still want to point out that only around 30% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed to this channel, so if you're not one of those, and especially if this is not the first one you're watching here, I would really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing right now. Let's continue building this amazing heavy metal community together. Dark Angel finally made up their mind. The legendary thrash metal band Dark Angel just announced their first new album in 34 years. Now officially. Extinction Level event will see the light of day on September 5th via Reversed Records. Overall, something really strange is going on with this album, as we actually spoke about Dark Angel announcing it a couple of months ago already, and they even dropped the first title track off of it back then, but then they suddenly removed it from YouTube and all of the streaming platforms without saying a word, and a couple of weeks after that actually dropped the second single off of it, without re-uploading the first. So I honestly don't know what's going on there. I assume that it happened because after the hype around the first Dark Angel single and the announcement of their return, they got a record deal from Reversed Records and decided to basically reissue this single together with the album on September 5th. But nevertheless, it is happening, and their first new album in 34 years will see the light of day in just a couple of weeks. This album is a tribute to Jim Durkin, the band's founding guitarist who passed away in 2023. Led by Gene Hoglan and his wife Laura Christine, and mixed by Mike Fraser, who previously worked with Metallica and AC/DC. This album, despite all the hardships it apparently went through, will be available this autumn. Which, no matter what, no matter whether you like the first single off of it or not, is already by itself a great gift for all of the fans of Bay Area thrash metal. And just once again proves that this year is simply insane for thrash metal all around the world. By the way, guys, if you actually know what happened to Extinction Level Event and why it suddenly disappeared from streaming platforms and now apparently will reappear once again, please let us know in the comments, because I actually didn't find any information about it online, and I am very curious to find out. And I'm very curious to find out whether it was just a technical glitch, a marketing campaign, or something completely different. Like they suddenly decided to remix it overall. So please let us know. And here I just want to thank all my patrons and all of the YouTube channel members. Guys, know that it is thanks to you and thanks to everyone who purchases Metal Pilgrim merch that this channel is even able to exist. Metal Chat with Arjen Lucassen. In just a couple of weeks, the legendary prog metal maestro Arjen Lucassen will release his new solo album, Songs No One Will Hear. And so, in order to restart our Metal Chat segment after a summer break, I am more than happy to welcome nobody else but Arjen Lucassen on the show.
When you write in something like this, a project like this, did you write it after already working with Simone Simmons, or is it one of those that you had in your head for a long time and you finally let it out as a solo project?
No, I was actually empty after the album with Simone. I put so much in it and it was empty and it was terrible, and I always think the well is dry now, nothing will come anymore. Until that little idea comes, that has potential. Then I start recording everything on my phone. I at some point, I got 50 little ideas, put them in the computer, listen in my studio, and then I hope, because at that point I have no idea what it's going to be about. Totally, it's always the music first. And then I hope that the music will inspire me to come up with a concept or with a story. And in this case, as you have heard, the songs are so different from each other. They're so eclectic. There's happy songs, there's sad songs, there's big epic songs, small parts. So I needed a concept that would reflect that. And suddenly, I thought like, okay, what would people do if they only had 5 months to live? What would they do with their lives? And the reason why the Earth will be destroyed is not really important. It's an asteroid in this case, but it's maybe the asteroid is more of a metaphor of what's happening these days. But with that concept, I could do a lot, because everyone has different opinions. The one. Some people would party, some people would just give up, some people would do their bucket list, everyone would do something different, which made it very interesting for me to come up with topics for each song.
Full interview with Arjen about Songs No One Will Hear, Judas Priest, Bruce Dickinson and the collaboration, including the failed one the two musicians had, and a lot of other things is actually already available for all of the patrons and channel members, and will be available on the show very soon, so definitely do not miss it. But for now, I just want to point out and say that Arjen's songs are exactly what this gloomy world needs today. And this album is simply awesome.
I know you now. I know you now. You did that thing about Bob Halford, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it the other day. I watched your shit, man. I knew it. I thought it's like, yeah, I watch your videos.
Oh,
Cool
thank
shit.
you. I appreciate
Yeah,
it. Wow, that guys,
yeah.
Arjen Lucassen watches my videos.
Oh,
That's it.
definitely.
It's a good day. It's a good day.
Stay strong, Biff Byford. Legendary Saxon frontman Biff Byford shared that he recently underwent a surgery on July 8th to remove what he described as a small tumor in his bowel, which apparently was discovered during a routine MRI. And although the operation was successful, there is quite a lot of treatment that Biff will have to undergo in the future. As a result, Saxon postponed or cancelled several European shows, but the craziest thing is that the UK and Ireland Hellfire and Steel tour, on which Saxon will perform their legendary Wheels of Steel album in its entirety for the very last time, and which will take place this November, is still scheduled to go on. No, seriously! Biff, you're a freaking legend! So yes, on behalf of all the metal pilgrims, especially those who saw several interviews we did with Biff, and on behalf of all the heavy metal fans, we just want to wish Biff the best and a speedy recovery, as there are not that many people who love heavy metal and love their fans as much as Biff does. And we really hope that Biff, together with the legendary Saxon, will continue treating all of the fans of new wave of British heavy metal to new music. Which, by the way, despite the whole fact that Hellfire and Damnation album was released just last year, Saxon apparently are already working on and plan to release very, very soon. No, seriously, legends! And now the time has come for your favorite part of the video, so let's take a look at 5 latest metal releases from this week, which, although did not get their own segments in this video, are still definitely worthy of your attention. Bay Area thrash legends Testament dropped their new single Infanticide AI from the upcoming 14th studio album Parabellum, arriving October 10th via Nuclear Blast. Oh, and yes, Testament announced their new album. Fueled by blistering speed of new drummer Chris Dovas and directed by Joey Durango, the video and tracks serve as a ferocious declaration that the band is back with renewed intensity. Alternative metal icons Deftones released their highly anticipated 10th studio album Private Music via Reprise Warner Records. Produced by Nick Raskulinich, the album blends ambient shoegaze textures with heavy riffs across tracks like My Mind is a Mountain and Milk of the Madonna, and overall showcases that Deftones, after years of doing what they do, still have a lot of surprises up their sleeve for their die-hard fans. Swiss all-female heavy metal band Burning Witches returned with their 6th full-length album Inquisition, out now via Napalm Records. The record features 10 tracks steeped in classic and power metal traditions, combining blazing guitar work, epic solos, and commanding vocals. Produced by V.O. Pulver and mixed mastered by Smear of Destruction, Inquisition further sharpens the band's signature sound while embracing themes of rebellion, witchcraft, and defiance. So basically everything the fans of Burning Witches love this band for. Folk metal Sporty Kings Feuerschwanz unveiled their 12th studio album Nightclub via Napalm Records. The album is the first with an English title and delivers epic fantasy-laden anthems in both German and English, complete with infectious melodies and marching riffs designed to ignite celebration. Dutch symphonic rock band Blackbriar released their new album A Thousand Little Deaths via Nuclear Blast. Featuring evocative track titles such as Bluebeard's Chamber and Fossiled Widow, the album weaves dark storytelling into lush orchestral metal arrangements. The Halo Effect go full nostalgia. Swedish melodic death metal project The Halo Effect, made up of 5 ex-members of In Flames, are diving into their roots with a brand new covers EP, and the first 2 tracks off of it are already here. First came a heavy interpretation of Danzig's How the Gods Kill, handpicked by vocalist Mikael Stane as a tribute to his teenage obsession with Glenn Danzig's dark and brooding style, which was actually dropped all the way in June of this year. And this week they surprised fans again with a beautiful, moody take on Swedish pop star Kent's 1997 hit titled Om du var här, which they translated to English this time, giving it a very classic Gothenburg treatment. The full EP will include a total of 5 covers, anything from Swedish pop to classic hard rock, and which I actually think is pretty awesome, as overall, the Halo Effect is the band that is doing whatever the flip they want, and by anything they want, I mean the biggest cliches a metal band could possibly do, and somehow it works beautifully. Maybe specifically because they don't really care about what anyone may say. So yes, I am actually looking forward both to this covers EP and to pretty much any new music from the band, which propagates exactly the melodic death metal sound I fell in love with more than 20 years ago. Viribus Unitis from 1914. Ukrainian blackened death doom powerhouse 1914 have finally announced their 4th studio record titled Viribus Unitis, set for release on November 14th this year via Napalm Records. Once again rooted in their World War I concept, the album dives deeper into the emotional and human cost of war, not just the battles, but the moments of silence between them, and tells the story of a Ukrainian soldier caught in the collapse of empires, haunted by memories and driven by love, hope, and survival. And yes, the first single off of it, titled 1916, is already out. And yes, it's crushing! The album also features guest appearances from Aaron Stainthorpe of My Dying Bride, Christopher Scott, and Jeremy Reuter of Rome. In honesty, if you're a fan of historical storytelling in metal, which I actually assume quite a lot of you are, then you should definitely check it out this November. And I'm saying this not only as a friend of a band, and not just because it's a Ukrainian metal, but because these guys are creating something truly extraordinary, and it's definitely worth it. The New Blood. I stepped into the portal's light. Alright guys, from time to time in our Metal Digest, I do actually talk about absolutely new bands, and especially the ones that are quite creative. So this next one is not your typical metal release, but it is something I love seeing more of. A full-blown conceptual musical universe, built like a cinematic saga where every song is a new episode. New Laconia, a progressive rock project led by Alexander Sinyakov, just dropped a new single called Journey to the Past. And while the sound leans towards more cinematic indie and experimental rock more than anything metal-like, the vision behind it is actually pretty impressive. And the thing is that this new track is an emotional climax of a much larger narrative. A narrative which I personally have actually been following for the past couple of months now. As here's the thing, I always admired concept albums, especially the ones that really pull you into the narrative. And this project, despite not really being metal, is basically like watching a retro-futuristic 1960s sci-fi TV series, where each new song is a brand new episode. As with their debut album, New Laconia is telling a story which follows a mysterious traveler who stumbles into a mystical interdimensional pub called Stardust Bear Bazaar, a space trapped in a time loop filled with fragments of memory and ghostly presences. So basically Star Wars meets Blade Runner meets Rush. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you might really dig it. So if you're a kind of listener who enjoys progressive storytelling albums that unfold like books of series, then the idea of a self-built multi-universe New Laconia might surprise you. So definitely check it out for yourself. Helping to discover a celestial man. The Ozzy Osbourne film confusion.
Times have changed and times are strange. Here I come, but I ain't the same.
This week, the BBC were set to air Ozzy Osbourne Coming Home, a 1-hour documentary covering the last 3 years of life of the legend. A 1-hour documentary covering the last 3 years of life of the legendary Prince of Darkness, and the one which a lot of fans around the world were eagerly anticipating after the news of death of the legendary musician. Yet when all of the fans around the world tuned into BBC to watch it, the documentary was actually pulled from the schedule just minutes before it was supposed to air, which of course created quite a confusion among the metalheads worldwide. Several days after the incident, the BBC revealed that the Osbourne family requested a delay, and the BBC simply respected their wishes. In an official statement, the network said, "Our sympathies are with the Osbourne family at this difficult time. We are respecting the family's wishes to wait a bit longer before airing this special film." A film that documented the last 3 years of life of the legendary Ozzy Osbourne, and apparently gives a rather intimate look at Ozzy's health struggles and his dream of returning to the United Kingdom and giving the last ever concert with his ex-bandmates in front of all the loyal die-hard fans. The film was originally conceived as a series called Home to Roost, but was reworked into a single focus documentary after Ozzy's health deteriorated, and will also include appearances by Sharon, Jack, and Kelly, and apparently paint a raw, uplifting portrait of Ozzy as both a rock icon and a husband and father. And it is exactly that looks like was a bit too tough to both rewatch and present to the world for the Osbourne family, which I, in all honesty, totally understand. Because for us, we lost a legend, but for them, well, they lost a family member. And yes, despite the whole fact that most of us really wanted to see this last documentary, we can wait. Even if the band needs to rework some of the things around it and present Ozzy in a way that they want us to see him. Which, either way, by the way, BBC promises that will happen very, very soon, as they are already working on a new release date together with the Osbourne family. But anyways, what new music did you listen to this week? Please let us know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Please don't forget to comment under it, spread the word about it, subscribe to this channel, and of course join our communities on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, X, Discord, and pretty much anywhere you can post content these days. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we will prevail. Slava Ukraini!